I have this image of a mountain range with a lake. This is what I will be using to demonstrate some of the tools in the toolbar. The first tool is the Move tool. I can actually click on this tool and move my image around the canvas. If I were to put something down, say an ellipse, I can choose the Move tool and just move the ellipse. So play around with that when you have a minute. That tool is very good for if you want to do side by side, if you want to put this piece of photography next to something else in a collage. The next tool that we have, and you can see it has a little drop down arrow in the lower right hand corner, is the Selection tool, and it's a marquee tool. So you can either use a rectangular, elliptical, single row, or single column. We never really use a single row or single column, so let's not go over those now. The rectangular marquee tool and the elliptical marquee tool will actually just select things on your desktop. So again, if I have something like text, I can actually select just that and move that. Okay. All right. So that's the two upper tools. Let's go over the Lasso tool. It's the third tool down in the toolbar. If you click it, you can lasso anything that you'd like to select. Now, maybe you want to get rid of that. So it's a free form selection tool. I'm going to undo. If you want to get that off, just go back to the selection tool and click outside the canvas. The next tool we have is the Magic Wand tool. The Magic Wand tool is paired with, if you click and hold the Quick Selection tool. The Magic Wand tool is actually pretty cool. It'll actually select pixels of the same color. Watch. So you could see these pixels in this cloud are mostly the same color. Now it can be kind of frustrating because sometimes it won't take the whole thing you want to select, but in some cases it will, and it's down to the pixels. So you will have residual pixels in here, but it is useful when you have big swaths of color you want to do. The other tool that's included in this is the Quick Selection tool. So if I want to quick select just the background, I can just drag and it goes along the mountain range. Now I can get rid of the background. I can cut that out. So that's a pretty cool tool. Also, it would take this over here, most likely, but you can play around with that one. The next tool that we have is the Crop tool, and this is just cropping an image. It's just like choose which part of the image you want cropped, and either go up to Image Crop, or you can double click it and it will get rid of everything outside the image that you've selected. We'll undo that one there. The Perspective, the Slice tool, and the Slice Select tool, we never really use those. The Slice tools are used for web design, which we are not going over right now. The Perspective Crop tool, let's not go over that one either. You're not going to use it. Now, it brings us to, most of these are selections and cropping. This next one actually is all about color. So the Eyedropper tool has all of these other tools in this toolbar. we're really going to be using the eyedropper tool. So if you choose the eyedropper and you actually want to take, say, this color here, which is a gray blue, click on that, and you can see it brings me up this this large kind of search eyeglass. And wherever I go, it's showing which color it's taking. Then you can actually fill with it here. Remember this from Illustrator. The next tool is the spot healing brush, the healing brush tool, the patch tool, the content aware move tool, and the red eye tool. Now you can get rid of red eye, that's great, but we're not going to use that unless you have someone in your image that has red eye. The spot healing brush, if I select, it will heal something that's missing pixels. So we don't have anything here that's missing pixels, so it's hard to actually go over this tool at the moment. And I don't think we'll actually use it. The brush tool, this is pretty similar to, you get the brush, pencil, color replacement tool, mixer brush tool. Those are all tools we're going to paint with. We're not going to do a lot of painting in Photoshop. The next tool down is the clone stamp tool or the pattern stamp tool. Now this is really great. This is a really great tool to be used when you're actually using it to retouch something. So say I wanted to retouch this cloud back here in the back. I wanted blue sky instead of this gray. I'm going to zoom in. And say I wanted this blue to extend all the way up to the corner. I choose the clone stamp. I hit Command. No, I hit Option, and I get this little crosshairs. This is actually what we will be cloning. Okay, so if I go to clone something now, I'm cloning where the crosshair is sitting. So it's making another row of clouds with blue, but it's also including the tree. So you can do a lot of retouching that way to make something look better. Play around with this tool. This tool is actually quite powerful. The next tool is the history brush tool. I believe that is something that we probably won't be using, and I don't feel like I want to go into it right now. This next tool is the eraser. You can actually erase big swaths of the background. I think it's easier to select and cut out, but you're welcome to use that tool as an eraser. It does work the way an eraser is supposed to work. We have a gradient tool, which is very much used for painting. This next tool down, it looks like a teardrop or a water droplet, is the blur tool, the sharpen tool, or the smudge tool. They do exactly what they say. You can blur an image, you can sharpen an image. Now, don't rely too much on this. If it's blurry to begin with, it's going to be blurry later. And then there's a smudge tool. That smudge tool, I can smudge two things together, kind of like I would in a charcoal drawing. So if I'm smudging this, you can see it's smudging. It makes interesting effects. This next tool is very inherent to photography. It's actually based in a physical item. So it's the dodge tool. And what dodging does is actually, it's always in the same, it's always talked about in the same vein as the burn tool. So the dodge tool would actually be lightening up something. This actually harkens back to when people used to have an enlarger, and so if you put something in front of the enlarger, it actually wouldn't expose the paper as long. So if you watch here, it's just going to get lighter. Okay, sometimes you need to dodge, like this area here just looks a little dark. So you can see how that works. Also, you can also step backwards in Photoshop. That is really the undo. So the burn tool works the opposite as the dodge tool. So the burn tool actually would give something more. It would make it darker. But it's going to make everything darker, which includes all of the colors that are already there. So you can make a sky look bluer, right? The sponge tool does exactly what it says it sponges. The pen tool does exactly what it does in Illustrator. Okay, so you can make a shape. You won't be using it. Text works the same as if you were going to write something in a text editor, hit the T on the side there, and then anywhere you want to type, it'll type. Now keep in mind it's typing in the color that you have filling. So, okay. This tool here is the path selection tool. If you have things on your canvas that are paths from a different program, you could use that. The ellipse tool, this also could be the rectangle tool. You can make a rectangle. The hand here just does exactly what the move tool does. It just moves things around, except for it's not moving it on the canvas. It's just moving it in your view. So say you didn't want to use that shortcut to get to the corner, you can use that. The zoom tool, same thing. It zooms in. Or you can use Command plus or Command minus. And then finally we have the fill, and it acts just like the fill in Illustrator. So this would be the background, the white would be the background, this gray would be the foreground. There is no lining in this program, it's just the background and foreground. This is a mask tool. You can edit a standard mask, and then there's a change screen mode. It's just for a different setup. So that's the toolbar in a nutshell. Basically, if you're looking for any of the windows that they're gone here on the side, like layers or color or adjustments or styles, they're all here underneath the window. So that should be enough to start you off just playing around here with Photoshop. And in the next video, we'll talk about we'll go deeper into some of these tools. Thank you.